Do you view the iPad and tablets as an infinite canvas? And if so, what does that allow for?
Yeah, I think of it as, yes, as a short answer, I think of it as a shape-shifting device. I mean, it really is, if you think about the sort of creative productions that we've seen to date, a device that can host really any kind of format that a publisher and author can imagine. So in the world of ebooks and straightforward long-form text, that is, has led to digital versions of print books that we all know and love and know how to read. On the infinite canvas size, once we start getting away from the limitations of the fixed page, then we start getting into the realm of these really interesting creative productions where the creative experience is not bounded by the top, bottom, and the left and the right. Start thinking of things like the History of Jazz app, which is an interactive timeline which reviews all of jazz through the 20th century and lets a user kind of scroll horizontally as a way of sort of replicating the expanse of time. There's another app called London Unfurled, which is a review of all the buildings on the Thames that you can look at from either the South Bank or the North Bank, and you pan across the canvas and goes on and on and on, and then tap the building that you want to know more about. So those kinds of creations let the content producers and the creative visionaries sort of mimic the topic that they're looking to explore, and that's something that can't truly be done in a print book that's bounded by pages.
Do you think the publishers are being too narrow in their approach to digital content right now, of only thinking about it in terms of, oh, this is the page that displays on this device?
Book, yes, and I think it makes sense in a way, or it's understandable in that publishers have been in the business of publishing books for the past 20, 30, 50 years. So this is the format that they know, and it's really easy and tempting, especially in the presence of EPUB and the Kindle store and the iBook store, to continue creating the book format, even if it's a digitized version of it. What's much more difficult, I think, is for publishers to sort of reconceive and step back from the business that they're in and think, well, okay, if I'm a publishing company that creates, publishes novels, what I'm really doing is selling 10, 15, 20 hours of entertainment time. And if I'm a publisher into reference or how-to material, what I'm really doing is helping people understand how to be better chefs or golfers. And is the book format, be it print or digital, the best way to do that? In some cases, let's take the novel, I think the book, traditional book, is the answer. So those people, I don't think it makes sense for Random House or Knopf or FSG to get into making video games. In other examples, like O'Reilly and cookbook publishers and golfing publishers, they really, I think, it's time to step back and say, what's the best way to explain how to roll sushi? Or what's the best way to, help somebody work on their swing?
Is that how publishers should think about born digital publications? Is, what is the problem it's solving? Who is the audience that I'm trying to address?
I think that's absolutely the thing, to step back away from the format that they've been used to producing over the past 10, 20, 30 years and say, what's the problem that I'm addressing and what's the best medium? And by the way, I think a lot of publishers and app creators and content producers have this sort of thinking, they think in either or terms. So it's either video or text. And in fact, I think the way that we learn is often better addressed by combining the twos in an elegant and smooth way. So for example, if you're thinking about teaching somebody how to learn how to make sushi, when it's time to explain the ingredients and that point in the learning process, text really does a wonderful job because it really helps people read at their own pace, think through complex terms, and understand in a way that text is great for. When it comes to the part about rolling the sushi, that's truly where video does a better job. So thinking about how to combine those two, I think, is a really powerful way that really has not been done a lot of. Most of what we've seen is either or, either text or video.
Right. So last question for you. We have ebooks, we have apps. Do you see those two coming together?
It's a tough question, and I think a lot of people do, especially in the industry, get hung up on this question of what's the term that we're going to use going forward. If we look in the music industry, the terms record and album have stuck around even as the physical format has largely disappeared. I think the word book, my 2 cents, my guess would be, is here to stay because it's a really convenient way of describing an immersive experience of let's call it, rather than pages, let's call it time, 15, 20 hours worth of time with an author. I think the other term that's likely to emerge is app. And I would be, I expect to see app to stay in the everyday lingo that we all use, and we'll start talking about, hey, have you seen the new Stephen King app? Or hey, have you seen, Susie Orman's new app? Now, in that app might be book-like elements, but will also, because of the sort of generic quality of the word app, it will also be able to accommodate things like interactive features and financial planners and workbooks and things like that. So I would guess we'll see books and apps coexist side by side, and they'll do different things.
Each word will have a different expectation with it.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.